Title: The Secret Underground. Main story: Mark Kool and Sara Volkan were both experts in their respective fields. Mark, a recent graduate of Oxford University, had made a name for himself in the field of archaeology. Meanwhile, Sara, a Harvard graduate, was a well-known news reporter who had a knack for uncovering hidden stories. The two had never met before, but their paths crossed one day when they discovered a link to an old underground place that had been kept secret for many years. The two immediately set out on an investigation to uncover the truth behind the underground place. They traveled to various locations in New York, interviewing people and gathering information. As they delved deeper, they began to realize that something was not right. It all started when they arrived at an old abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. The warehouse had a dark and eerie atmosphere, and Mark and Sara felt as though they were being watched. As they walked deeper into the warehouse, they stumbled upon a trapdoor. Without hesitation, they opened it and climbed down the ladder. They found themselves in a large underground tunnel. The tunnel was dimly lit, and the air was thick with the smell of decay. As they walked deeper into the tunnel, they heard strange noises and whispers coming from the darkness. Suddenly, they came upon a room that was filled with strange artifacts and relics. It was clear that this place had not been touched for centuries. As they examined the artifacts, they realized that they had stumbled upon something truly terrifying. The artifacts were related to a dark and twisted cult that had been operating in New York for centuries. The cult had been responsible for countless murders and had been able to keep their activities hidden from the public for years. As Mark and Sara continued to explore the underground place, they encountered more and more terrifying creatures. They found themselves being chased by strange, shadowy figures and were almost trapped by a giant spider. They finally reached the heart of the underground place, a giant chamber filled with strange symbols and an altar at the center. They soon realized that the cult was still active and that they were being watched. Suddenly, they were attacked by the cultists, who had been waiting for them. Mark and Sara fought back, but they were outnumbered and outmatched. Just when they thought all hope was lost, they were saved by a group of police officers who had been tipped off by an anonymous source. The cult was disbanded, and Mark and Sara were hailed as heroes for uncovering the dark and twisted secrets of the underground place. They both returned to their respective careers, but they were never able to forget the horror they had experienced. They both knew that the darkness was always lurking just beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered once again. As Mark and Sara were leaving the underground place, they noticed a strange figure watching them from the shadows. The figure was cloaked in darkness, and they couldn't make out its face. It disappeared into the darkness before they could get a better look. They tried to forget about the figure and the horror they had experienced, but they couldn't shake the feeling that something was still watching them. They both started having strange nightmares and felt like they were being followed everywhere they went. One day, Mark received a mysterious package in the mail. It was a small, ornate box with strange symbols etched into it. When he opened the box, he found a note that simply read, "You have not seen the last of us." Mark immediately knew that the cult was still active and that they were still being watched. He contacted Sara, and the two of them decided to investigate further. Their investigation led them to an old abandoned church in the outskirts of town. As they entered the church, they found themselves surrounded by cultists. The cultists had been waiting for them, and they had set a trap. Mark and Sara tried to fight back, but they were quickly overwhelmed. Just when they thought all was lost, they were saved once again, this time by a group of mysterious individuals who seemed to possess supernatural abilities. The mysterious group led Mark and Sara to safety, but they didn't reveal their identities. They simply told them that they were part of a secret organization dedicated to protecting the world from the forces of darkness. Mark and Sara realized that the world was a much darker place than they had ever imagined. They had uncovered a secret that had been kept hidden for centuries, and they had come face to face with the horrors that lurked in the shadows. They both knew that they could never go back to their old lives. They had been changed forever by their experiences, and they were now a part of something much bigger than themselves. They were part of a battle between good and evil that had been raging since the dawn of time. Mark and Sara joined the secret organization, dedicating their lives to fighting against the forces of darkness. They trained with the mysterious individuals, learning about the supernatural powers that they possessed and how to use them to fight against the cult and other dark entities. As they delved deeper into the world of the supernatural, they realized that the cult was just one small part of a much larger threat. There were other dark forces at work, and they were all connected in some way. They encountered all sorts of creatures, from ghosts and demons to vampires and werewolves. They traveled all around the world, fighting against evil wherever it appeared. They were constantly on the move, never able to settle down and live a normal life. Years passed, and Mark and Sara became seasoned veterans in the fight against evil. They had faced countless dangers and had saved countless lives. But they knew that the fight would never be over. There would always be new threats to face, and they would always be ready to fight against them. One day, Mark received a message from an old friend, someone he had known from his days at Oxford. The message was cryptic, and it seemed to hint at some sort of danger. Mark and Sara immediately set out to investigate. They found their old friend, who told them that he had uncovered a dark secret that threatened the entire world. He had been working on a project that involved ancient artifacts, and he had stumbled upon something that he couldn't explain. As they delved deeper into the mystery, they realized that the threat was much larger than they had ever imagined. The artifacts that their friend had uncovered were part of an ancient ritual that could summon an ancient demon from another dimension. Mark and Sara knew that they had to act quickly to stop the ritual from being completed. They fought against the cultists who were trying to complete the ritual, and they were able to disrupt it at the last moment. The demon was banished back to its own dimension, and the world was saved from certain doom. Mark and Sara knew that they had once again come face to face with the horrors that lurked in the shadows, but they also knew that they had the power to fight against them. They continued to work with the secret organization, dedicating their lives to fighting against evil. They knew that the world would always be a dark and dangerous place, but they were ready to face whatever came their way. Mark and Sara continued their work with the secret organization, traveling to different parts of the world to battle evil forces. They became legendary figures among the members of the organization, known for their bravery, resourcefulness, and unwavering determination to protect humanity from the darkness. But one day, while on a mission in Eastern Europe, Mark and Sara were ambushed by a group of vampires. Despite their years of experience, they were caught off guard and overpowered. The vampires had been sent by a powerful sorcerer who wanted revenge against the secret organization. Mark and Sara were taken to the sorcerer's lair, where they were subjected to unspeakable tortures. The sorcerer wanted to extract information from them, information that could lead him to the organization's headquarters and destroy it once and for all. But Mark and Sara refused to break, even under the most brutal torture. They knew that the safety of the world depended on their resilience, and they were determined to hold on until help arrived. After several days of torture, Mark and Sara were rescued by a team of operatives from the secret organization. They were badly injured and barely conscious, but they were alive. The sorcerer was captured and brought to justice, but Mark and Sara knew that their injuries would take a long time to heal. They were taken back to the organization's headquarters, where they were treated by the organization's healers. They were grateful to be alive, but they knew that their injuries had left them permanently scarred, both physically and emotionally. Mark and Sara decided to retire from active duty, knowing that they could no longer handle the rigors of combat. They remained in the organization, however, taking on administrative roles and helping to train new recruits. They lived out the rest of their lives together, surrounded by the memories of their adventures and the knowledge that they had made a difference in the world. They knew that the fight against evil would never be over, but they also knew that they had done their part to protect humanity from the darkness.